Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Italian C202 Folgore, a fantastic Italian low tier fighter that you can have a lot of fun in. This thing sits at 2.3 battle rating. Of course it has its German counterpart. I never taken a look at that though, so I thought it was time to take a look at this Italian variant. The plane has a good speed, and in a dive it can reach up to 805 kilometers an hour, which is quite nice. You do have to be careful though in steep dives, because the plane does suffer from some compression from around 600 kilometers an hour, and that only becomes worse as you go along to its top speed. And in that window, if you're in a dive and you're low to the ground, you can be in a world of trouble and crash yourself into the ground, and that's definitely not something you want, so be aware of that. The plane is a boom and zoomer, and it really should be used purely as a boom and zoomer, although it does have some tricks up its sleeve. Its fantastic climb rate really helps it shine as a boom and zoomer. It may have the best climb rate at this battle rating, and that is something really nice. You can get up to altitude and dominate the higher grounds from there and work your way down. Now, as it goes for the tricks, the plane actually has some good maneuverability from around 300 kilometers an hour to about 600 kilometers an hour, give or take a kilometer here or there. It has pretty good roll rate between those speeds, and the turn time is also quite decent when it's fast. So in that window you can definitely surprise people and trick people a little bit if they don't know about the plane specialities, and that is definitely one of them. But you got to be careful with it. Of course, if it's too fast you have a little bit of compression, and if you take a few turns and play with somebody, you lose speed, because the plane does bleed speed in maneuvers. And once you lose enough speed, of course, you get below 300, you also lose some of that maneuverability, and you get in the disadvantage most likely. So basically you don't want to turn with this, but if you're in trouble, if you have to get defensive and you have to make a few maneuvers, you can definitely surprise people, which is quite nice. The acceleration in a dive is also nice, as a desperate measure for escape, to dive away from people. With its top speed in a dive, that is definitely a very good possibility as well. And besides all that, it performs nice on all altitudes. There is not an altitude in which its performance drops significantly. That makes you viable on all altitudes. The plane is fragile though, and that is not something that is very nice. I mean, I have died a few times in this plane, about 7 times I believe, and quite a few of those, I think it was 3 or 4, I don't really remember, but at least 3 times I died from bombers getting a shot in on my engine. And I mean not a sustained burst, not that I am wholly peppered and stuff, but just a hit on the engine, and it can just die instantly. That is also something you will see eventually in this match, spoiler alert. But yeah, the engine is fragile, and the frame isn't too strong as well. It doesn't take damage very well. The wings are pretty thin, and that makes it very nice for its flight performance, but not for taking damage. So you gotta be careful when you attack bombers and attackers with back gunners. The armament is touch and go. It is not as bad as it used to be. I've heard terror stories when the low caliber guns were still at its old damage output. Of course, like I have said before in a few vids, I have the strong suspicion that the lower calibers have been nerfed back a little bit, and not completely to the old values. They are still stronger than they used to be, but they are also not the better than 20mm damage that they were before. Everybody was hysterical about the damage output of, for example, 50 cals, and they are definitely not that anymore, but they still do good damage if you get sustained burst on target. Like we caught a fire there on the right engine, at which we were aiming in the first pass. The second pass we were aiming on the left wings. That's something you really want to do in this plane. Make precision attacks. And especially from around 500 meters and closer, the damage of the guns are definitely nice. And you set quite a few fires here and there. That is the third pass we make on this plane, and it's definitely in trouble. It's listing to the right, and there it finally goes. Nice. We have our ace in this match, and we were going for this last target. We still held almost 50 rounds for each set of guns, and we were gonna try to get this BR-20 down. And here we have this terrible thing happen to our engine. So if you heard it, we got one hit. We got one of those ticks, and that was enough to completely ruin our engine. Not just a little bit, not flying back to base levels, but just completely die before you get anywhere style. And I could not get back to base. It's 13 kilometers over that way. I just saw this column of ground vehicles go for C though. And I wasn't really sure if she was capable of repairing airplanes. I thought to land there, and maybe if the ground target, the ground vehicles would capture this airfield, I would get a repair. But unfortunately, that was not to be. But I did save the pilot though in this match after an ace. So yeah, get me a new plane and I'll get to them. Anyway, the guns. Yeah, let me tell you about those guns. Yeah, you have two 12.7 millimeter Breda Sapat guns with 400 rounds per gun. I used air targets on these guns. You also have two 7.7 Breda guns with 500 rounds per gun, and I used stealth for those so that I had a clear view of where my 50 cals were going. So the armament is alright, but I still had a feeling it was a little bit touch and go. I really had a lot of matches where I got 1, 2 or 3 kills and then damaged, you know, 2 to 3 or 4 other planes, and just had hits on those. Assist, you do get a lot of assist on this plane, and you really got a little bit of gotta get a little bit of feel for the aim on these guns. But even if you get them, you get a lot of these kind of things where you get a good amount of hits in and you get good damage on the enemy plane, but you just don't finish them off, and that can be quite frustrating compared to, for example, an F1, which hits at around same battle rating. Now in this match we did get to higher altitudes, and we had a Spitfire and a Lancer to fight here. The P-43 comes up for me and it stalls out, but we are a little bit too slow in the reversal of our stall maneuver. And we get another hit in on the right wing there. No cigar though, unfortunately. And that is really one of my gripes with this plane, the armament. I'm really missing my MG 151s, the 20 millimeters that you have on a lot of the mid to late tier Italian planes, which really make them very, very lethal. And this is just bad aiming from my part. That had nothing to do with the guns. And I thought I checked my mouse after that, but I think it was a hair or something underneath there somewhere. I cleaned it out though.
Let's keep the pressure on.
Now let's see, I'm checking my surroundings and I go back after him as he's going after my ally BF-109E there. But again here the good maneuverability on the P-43 came into view, and we were above 600 kilometers there, so I really felt a little bit of the control stiffening. Couldn't make the turn with him there on the speed I was holding. Acceleration in the dive looks quite nice there. No, not enough lead there, and he escapes again. He's on lower speed than me, of course, and here you can see an example that a little bit there of the compression above 600. And you really gotta watch that, because close to the ground you can be in major trouble. Here I get impatient and I get punished for it. I take a hit in and I receive an oil leak. Thankfully the P43 also only has 450 cal, so although they can be lethal, it was a glancing hit, only a small window for him to attack me, and I only got hit a few of those rounds. But I got impatient there, wanted to maneuver with him at higher speeds, and I mean closer to 550, 600, and really had the stiffening, control stiffening there. Can't maneuver at those speeds. It really is a tight window. We do shoot him on fire though in the end there, and I get accused of kill stealing. While we were actually already dogfighting that guy for about 5 minutes, I believe. And he came in for one shot on him, hit him, of course, he got a hit in, he made him smoke, but no fires, no nothing, he wasn't plummeting to the ground. And when I shoot him on fire, I get accused of stealing that kill while I've been working on that guy. Well, just insane sometimes how people's minds work, right? But anyway, we are diving on this P40 here and getting some damage in on the tail. He really stalled out there. That should have been my killing shot. I didn't get the lead right there though, and only got hit in on his tail. But if I would have gotten the aim right, I probably could have gotten a pilot snipe there. But yeah, we didn't get that, unfortunately. So diving after him here again, stiffening out a little bit, and took it back up to altitude. There we get a crit on the tail, which is quite nice. And we have a lot of planes above us, unfortunately. Now we did get that Spitfire eventually, and that's quite nice, I think as he went back to the airfield. And we get attacked here by multiple people now. Spitfire, Corsair incoming as well. We can dodge those bullets from the Spitfire. The D-14 is coming back from altitude though. I also have to think about the Corsair that's coming in. And now we have the Spitfire. It's a Mark 1A, very maneuverable plane. And we really are just in trouble here on our last legs. It does happen occasionally where American and British teams actually decimate a German team. Seems to happen more and more, and it happened to me a few times in this plane. But we did get 4 kills, and that isn't half bad. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now that was enjoyable, although I've also had some frustrating moments in the beginning, but you gotta get a little bit of a feel for this plane. It is not very forgiving. You can't make many mistakes in it. You can do magnificent things in it if you use those things in the right moments. But if you don't and you fuck it up, then you can definitely get shot down. And it's a fragile plane. The engine only needs one hit and it's done for, and you really need to go back to the airfield immediately, because it can fail on you at any time, as you saw in that first match. For the rest, the frame also really doesn't take damage very well. The flight performance is immediately negatively impacted and heavily impacted, let's say that. So yeah, don't get hit in this plane. Use it in a boom and zoom style, and stay away from bombers and attackers with back gunners unless they are the last planes. And if you attack them, if they are too good of a target to let go, then really go for the engines and try to set a fire, or if you take them on head on, go for the pilots. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.